Have you ever noticed how some people can fall asleep with the TV on, dogs barking, neighbors moving furniture, and even construction noise outside, while others wake up at the smallest sound? Maybe you're the person who hears the ticking clock like a hammer inside your head. Someone chewing nearby suddenly sounds unbearably loud. A car passing at night feels like it drives straight through your thoughts. And then comes the familiar judgment. You're too sensitive. Just relax. Ignore the noise. But what if the issue isn't intolerance, but heightened perception? There's a common belief that people who can't stand noise are irritable, antisocial, or overly dramatic. Psychology, however, tells a different story. Some people simply experience the world with the volume turned up inside their brains. Not by choice, by design. Imagine your brain as a building security guard. Its job is to decide what gets in and what stays out. Sounds, smells, lights, conversations, movements, everything knocks on the door. For many people, this filter works efficiently. Only important signals pass through. Background noise fades automatically, but for noise-sensitive individuals, the guard is too welcoming. Everything gets allowed in. Every sound receives attention, every stimulus demands processing, and the result is a brain that rarely gets to rest. Neuroscience research suggests that people with higher sensory sensitivity show stronger activity in areas like the amygdala and the auditory cortex regions connected to emotional response and sound processing. In simple terms, their brains don't just hear sound, they feel it. That's why noise doesn't remain neutral. It becomes physical tension. The body shifts into alert mode. Muscles tighten. Breathing changes. The nervous system reacts as if unexpected sounds might signal danger. Think about the sudden start of a drill in the middle of the day. Some people barely notice and continue working. Others feel an instant wave of irritation or stress. That reaction isn't weakness or impatience. It's the nervous system activating a survival response without conscious permission. Interestingly, many people who struggle with noise share another trait: heightened awareness of subtle details. They notice emotional shifts in conversations. They sense tension in a room before anyone speaks. They tend to be reflective, observant, sometimes deeply creative. It's the same mechanism at work. A brain that detects more auditory information often detects more emotional nuance too. Psychologists sometimes describe this as deep sensory processing. The brain doesn't skim experiences, it analyzes them thoroughly. It's like watching a movie while others follow the storyline, but you notice the soundtrack, lighting, symbolism, and hidden meanings simultaneously. Beautiful, but exhausting. Living this way means silence isn't a luxury. It's a biological necessity. You might recognize the feeling. After spending hours in malls, traffic, or crowded environments, you feel drained in a way that's hard to explain. You didn't run a marathon, yet your energy is gone. That fatigue comes from sensory overload, your brain working non-stop to interpret thousands of sounds at once. And here's something fascinating. Many noise-sensitive people deeply cherish solitude, not because they dislike people, but because silence acts like an emotional reset button. Silence lowers stress hormones. It reorganizes thoughts. It allows the nervous system to recalibrate. Modern life, however, rarely respects silence. Notifications buzz constantly. Music fills public spaces. Conversations overlap. Screens demand attention. There's an invisible expectation to remain connected to continuous stimulation. Seeking quiet can make someone appear distant or withdrawn, but often they are simply protecting their mental balance. There's also a condition known as misophonia, where specific sounds, chewing, breathing, tapping, trigger intense emotional reactions. Studies suggest this isn't about poor tolerance or personality flaws, but rather a stronger neural connection between auditory perception and emotional processing. The brain cannot separate the sound from the feeling it provokes. So let me ask you something honestly. How many times have you felt guilty for needing silence? How often have you thought you should be less sensitive? Maybe the goal isn't adapting to noise. Maybe it's understanding how your mind works. People sensitive to sound often possess remarkable focus in calm environments. They enter deep states of concentration. They produce thoughtful ideas. They experience the world with emotional richness many others overlook. What looks like fragility may actually be a different form of perceptual intelligence. Consider artists, writers, scientists, and thinkers throughout history. Many sought quiet spaces not because they rejected society, but because silence allowed them to hear something subtle, their own thoughts. The human brain was never designed for endless stimulation, and perhaps those who struggle with noise are simply individuals whose nervous systems still remember that truth. So the next time noise overwhelms you, try shifting the internal narrative. Instead of thinking, something is wrong with me, consider this. My brain experiences the world in high definition. That perspective changes everything. Because once you understand your sensitivity, you begin to treat yourself with more kindness. You create moments of quiet. You step away from sensory chaos. You build small refuges of calm within everyday life. And paradoxically, the more you honor your need for silence, the more energy you gain to engage meaningfully with the world when it truly matters. Maybe you don't hate noise. Maybe you simply value something many people have forgotten, the role of silence in feeling fully alive. Now, I'm curious about you. Does silence recharge you or make you uncomfortable? Do certain sounds feel louder or more intense than they seem for others? Share your experience in the comments, because understanding how different minds perceive the same world reminds us that there is no single correct way to be human. And if this reflection resonated with you, stay with me as we continue exploring human psychology together. Sometimes what we call sensitivity is actually a deeper awareness of life itself.